Hello everybody, it is your weekly tarot and energy reading for the week of October 18th through the 25th, 2019. We are not going to go into any major astrology talk this week because guess what? It's actually relatively calm, aside from being in Mercury retrograde's shadow and being perhaps in the position where you have a couple of things here and there that don't really seem to be quite in alignment with the timeline that you would like them to be. Other than that, there's always something going on in the planets, but you know, we have individual charts, and so how we're affected individually is going to be a completely different perspective from how we are affected in the collective. And in the collective, it's a nice week of relative peace and harmony. Now, that is not to say that it isn't an evolutionary period of time, because it is. The seeds have been planted, and so how those seeds manifest in your life will depend very much on what journey you are on. But don't expect there not to be developments this week, because there will be, and they're good developments. It's a very interesting period of time, moving from Libran energy slowly into Scorpio energy. We find ourselves emerging from inner balance into the desire to manifest the fruit of our labor into the physical domain, particularly in terms of relationship, sensuality, sexuality, and connection, interconnectedness. Our underlying energy for the week is the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands being a victory card. This is a self-victory. This is being in the position right now where, once again, we have completed an enormous amount of inner work. And whatever situation you're in right now, there is definitely a sense of something new birthing. There is a new opportunity, there is a new portal opening up, there is a new timeline opening up. You are moving into it's almost like a new dimensionality, in the sense that whatever you have learned, whatever process has taken place that has been so revolutionary on the inside, in its outer form is going to naturally take you in a very different direction. So that's pretty exciting. What we have in our spread this week, which I did completely sort of haphazardly in terms of energies, we do have a past, present, and future dynamic here, but they are interwoven in many ways. We start with the Eight of Cups, walking away from things that have not worked for us, particularly behavioral patterns, as we were just talking about, shifting from the inner to the outer in our next chapter. The Eight of Cups is not a sad card. It is not a card of defeat. It is a card of understanding what has not served us in our own pursuit of happiness and of fulfillment. Our lives are made up of multiple opportunities to, I should say, infinite possibilities of paths to pursue. And sometimes we get caught up going down one path or another, thinking that it will give us what we're looking for. And in that process, we learn, a great deal about ourselves and about other people and about the world. And we also come to the understanding that these ideals don't necessarily become tangible in the same form, and so we have to move on from them. And it can be sad for us in the moment. This is the very basis of the feelings of nostalgia, the feelings of being melancholy, or struggling with detachment. But we have to go through this process because it's the only way that we learn, and it's the only way that we gain strength. In all honesty, that is the very root of strength, is losing, moving away, changing. And it was clarified by the Four of Swords, and the Four of Swords is a card of rest. So perhaps in this case it was the spiritual rest of going inwards and coming to peace with finding that strength in order to adjust our pathway, and to do so in a way, because these are cups, to do so in a way that was respectful of the emotional balance between yourself and other people. We also have the Tower in our past underlying energy. So this discovery, this shift may have caused an enormous amount of inner turmoil that could have also manifested in the outside world in drastic ways. Relationships could have been radically rearranged by this process. But this is, again, not a card of disaster. This is a card of the universe intervening in order to give us the opportunity to break these patterns that we need to walk away from, break away from the pathways, the dead ends. Very often we're happy to be comfortable with what we have, and if it feels good, it can't be that bad. But the simple fact of the matter is that life serves no purpose unless we are being challenged to adjust and learn more about ourselves in order to better serve the collective, whether that be our husband or wife or partner or child or our friends or philanthropic work or education, whatever it may be. The Tower was clarified by 3 cards that popped out together. The Sun, the Queen of Wands, and the Tower. So we got the confirmation of the Tower. But because the Tower came out last in this, I sort of was looking at this more from a story perspective, which is that, we had the Sun, we had that feeling of contentment, along with the Queen of Swords, which is a fire energy. So whatever it was that we were attached to, that we've moved away from, or that we're in the process of moving away from, has had an enormous amount of warmth to it. It's had an enormous amount of happiness attached to it. And that may be what has made it so complicated to make these decisions, to evolve and move forward, because to make that decision to detach from something that feels good is greatly destabilizing for the majority of us, because with mindfulness comes the awareness of risk management, and moving away from something means that we risk losing and not knowing what will replace it or what will come in its place. Makes that a daunting an intimidating process. And so I think that this is what the tower energy is really about. It really is about the inner turmoil of coming to terms with trusting the universe to give us the consequences that are required for our growth. We also have the Page of Cups and the Seven of Swords, which is interesting because this indicates to me that that we have been on the receiving end of many gifts, of a sense of generosity, but that perhaps we have not felt that that generosity came from an authentic place. And that's not to, that's a very, I should probably choose my words differently, because it's not so much about a lack of authenticity. It's about, when people give from a place, if they don't know their boundaries, if they don't know themselves fully, then when they give, they may not consciously be giving for the wrong reasons, but subconsciously there's a truth to that. And because this was clarified by the Knight of Swords, the Knight of Swords is sort of a fast-moving, cutting energy. So I feel like whoever was on the receiving end of this generosity was going through this process, this entire process, this tower and everything that we're talking about, it's sort of like seeing through a lack of authenticity, or a lack of compatibility in the way that the gift was given and received. And as a result of this, there was a sort of a bit of a combustion that was required in order to find a greater understanding of where both parties were coming from. Again, we've talked about this a lot in recent weeks. A lot of this energy of this year, especially these retrogrades of Mercury, have been about revisiting emotional patterns that do not serve us anymore. And there are many different domains in which those can affect our life. And our inner journey and our outer journey are just two aspects of that dichotomy. And boundaries have been a huge element of the task that we have all been given to better understand and better manage. So I think that this whole tower energy, that this is based on the idea of what we're walking away from in our lives, whether that be in the outside world or in our just the way that we manage ourselves emotionally. This is a really amazing thing, because it really is the confirmation that this work has been processed and is now serving us in a constructive way. Because looking at the rest of the spread, I can assure you it goes in a good direction. So in our present energies, we have, so when I say that, we say the here and now, just to give it a broader context. We have the Eight of Wands, which is fast communication. It is generally one of those periods where we're moving into a period where suddenly there's a lot going on. There's a lot of activity, a lot of communication, probably a lot of social energy as well as work energy. It can also indicate opportunities coming forth, like it can be messages regarding work opportunities. meeting new people. The interesting thing is that this card was clarified by the Hermit, the Ace of Cups, and the Princess of Swords, or the Page of Swords. These also came out in a cluster together and did not want to be separated. Given that we have another of these storylines, so we have the Hermit, so I feel like we were coming out of this tower energy of having done this inner process, and you know, we were in a place where we were quite guarded in many ways, and we'd become quite insular and quite comfortable in our little shell. And the Ace of Cups came along. This is like some kind of an offer from the heart, so this could be any kind of emotional relationship, some sort of emotional gift, a substantial emotional gift that resonated to the point of bringing in, or is resonating in a way to bring in a new emotional reality. And the fact that it's clarified by that Page of Swords, and that we just came out of the Knight of Swords, indicates to me that, you know, the Page is under the Knight, so maybe this, you know, this cutting, truth-slaying kind of energy has been tempered, and as a result of this Hermit energy of going inwards and doing that inner process, and that has actually taken you out of this. This is coming along to do that in the outside world. And this is manifesting through all of this energy coming in. We do have the Three of Wands, clarified by the Knight of Wands, which this indicates to me that we're sitting waiting for our ships to come in. We are in a position where we've planted the seeds. We know that things are going to evolve in the coming weeks, months, but that right now we're sort of we're in a period of taking in the view and congratulating ourselves on the hard work that we've done, seeing how that plays out in our life, observing how other people interact with us and how we interact with them, how we experience things in our fullness, in our bountifulness, in our state of balance and contentment. And the Knight of Wands is also a fast-moving energy, and this one is one of fun. Definitely, if you're looking for a little bit of nookie, that's there, but it can also be it's a card of great charm. It is really like that, you know, because we have done this work and because we're coming into a place of greater self-confidence, we can actually be more charming and more self-assured in our way of interacting with our counterparts. And there is actually a lot of new energy, so there probably are going to be new people coming into your life if you have the opportunity to experience newness in that way. And then we also have the Nine of Cups, clarified by the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Cups is it is the wish card, but it is also a card of great contentment, and a feeling of having, you know, these 9 cups represent 9 aspects of our emotions. You know, it's having an understanding of our full range of emotions, and being in, not necessarily control of them, but in understanding of them, and therefore being able to sit in front of them, putting ourselves out with those emotions feeding through us into the outside world in a harmonious way. And the Nine of Wands, in this case, tells me that we had to go through a really hard experience in order to get there. And this is why the Three of Wands is telling us that it's okay for us to like put our feet up and take in the view and experience the fullness of the sum total of those experiences. And that maybe didn't make any sense. I think it did. Anyway, moving on into our future energies, we have the Chariot, clarified by the Eight of Wands. So we're getting a lot of return energies here, because the Eight of Wands came right underneath the Eight of Wands that we had in our present energies. So a continued, I would say the next couple of weeks, actually, probably longer, are going to be very, very busy in terms of interaction with other people, whether that be via communication, in written form or the telephone, or in terms of our social lives, lots of meetings, lots of opportunities for gatherings, conferences, but all being highly productive. The Chariot, again, is not only a card of travel, but also the absolute balance of mind, body, and soul, the subconscious and the conscious mind. Because we have this emphasis in our present of the Eight of Wands coming from the Ace of Cups, which was an emotional gift, and breaking us out of our insular tendencies. This tells me that we reach a point where what we're going out into the world following this Nine of Cups energy is in that fullness of self-confidence and self-awareness and ownership of our fullness of range of emotions and experiences, that we do so with a heightened success that is self-satisfying. It's not necessarily success in terms of how other people measure that hierarchically or in a linear way. This is more in the sense of there's a quickening of this process of, you know, things are going to happen very quickly where we're sort of like walking through life and we have an experience with a person or with a meeting or with a conversation, and we're like, whoa, I get this. Whoa, I'm in charge here. Whoa, I totally am able to get the absolute most out of everything that I'm participating in. We do have the Hierophant in our future energies, clarified by the Ten of Cups. The Hierophant is, well, it can be a card of, it's a marriage card or a ceremonial card. So it can be some form of ceremonial upgrade in life. But it is also the card of tradition, meaning that what I actually feel this probably is more an indication of telling us where this is all headed, because we are moving towards the holidays in America, towards Thanksgiving and eventually Christmas or any other religious festivities, and obviously that could be anywhere in the world, but as Thanksgiving is before Christmas, it just kind of came to me that that's what this is really about, where maybe it's a time stamp in that way, because the Ten of Cups is that sort of energy of emotional abundance. It's when we feel not only in complete alignment with our environment, but that we feel spoiled, it's the spoils of emotional abundance. So in the upcoming weeks, we're going to see it a rapid increase in this sense of interconnectedness emotionally, feeling very satisfied by our emotional experiences and our connections with other people. And it couldn't really get any better because our outcome is the sun clarified by the chariot again. So we have the chariot twice in our future energies. The sun is the card of ultimate opportunity and happiness, and so however that manifests in your individual life, it would just simply seem that the universe has taken note of how much hard work we've done to evolve, to let go of our restrictive behaviors. And once this starts to manifest properly in our outside world, and we're not going to have any choice, because with all this energy and all this movement, it's just going to happen anyway. We are going to find ourselves in a position of reaping the rewards and benefits of all of our hard work in coming in alignment with the universal plan, with the divine vision of how we are supposed to interact with the world. There is this great sense of gifts being sort of, I see gifts showering over people that have done this work. Again, it's we can look at it from a completely rational perspective, that if you are in a place of balance and harmony, naturally you are going to want to interact with the world around you in a way that is more engaged and ultimately more rewarding. But this is the very essence of the universal sense of balance, is that when we are in balance, the flow is infinite. There's an infinite cycle of gifts. Even when we were in our poverty mentality, and when we were experiencing the tower, we may have looked at things that now we can see as gifts as not being gifts, but now we experience them as enrichment. We experience them in a way to understand that everything that we experience is part of the divine plan. It is part of our journey on earth. We would be nothing without the colorful experiences that each of us has, that make us who we are individually, and then allow us to be a better contributor to the collective. So, a very, very nice overall message for the upcoming week, and I think these energies will carry forth beyond that. We'll go straight into this week's Spirit Animal Oracle card, and this week we got the Hawk Spirit card. Let Spirit be your guide. Another beautiful card. And this week's message is: flying high above the landscape, the hawk sees both the big picture and the small details, observes the rain and the pond as well as the cloud, and doesn't miss anything. When Hawk Spirit arrives, you are called to pay close attention to messages from Spirit that can appear in any form. Listen to your intuition and keep your eyes open for synchronicities, the meaningful coincidences. Hawk Spirit asks you not to dismiss the signs that Spirit is sending to guide you. Lately, have you been hearing the same words or songs, or coming across the same symbol here, there, and in the strangest places? Perhaps you hear a song on the radio with just the right lyric pertaining to your query. Or you begin to notice uncanny billboards, license plates, or other places where repetitive numbers or words show up for you to notice. Pay attention to the animals that appear for you and connect with their symbolism. Spirit wants to communicate and reaches out again and again. When hawk spirit appears, it is a sign to listen. Are you noticing red flags? Perhaps saying to yourself, "Oh, what pretty flags," and giving them no more thought. Hawk Spirit has arrived to tell you to stop and listen to the messages from Spirit. Take the time to observe the patterns you are seeing and do not dismiss your intuition, even if the messages you receive are not supported by evidence from the physical world. If it feels illogical to listen right now, listen anyway. Sometimes you might want certain signs and messages to mean what you want them to mean, interpreting through the lens of wishful thinking, a projection of your desire to see things a certain way. Of course, when you do that, you rarely find yourself where you want to be. So take heart. Spirit loves you so much and does not want you to get hurt, but to align with Spirit's plan for your highest good. Listen and follow the signs and check your motives when you are being selective with your hearing. So there's a huge message of serendipity, of intuition, and the confirmation that when we are in alignment with ourselves, serendipity and serendipity is experienced as gifts, as rewards in many ways. And if we limit ourselves to rationalizing things as coincidences rather than seeing the universal flow for what it is, then that type of cynicism prevents us from coming into the chariot and the sun energies that are guaranteed us. And so pay attention to all of those messages. Maybe that was also what the Spirit Oracle card was telling us, was that the messages might also be coming intuitively to us. So pay attention to what your thoughts are telling you and where they're leading you. On that note, I think I would like to just wish you a wonderful week ahead, and I really feel that we are going to have a really nice time. So, have a fantastic week ahead. I send you lots of love, and I'll see you again in a week. Take care. Bye.
I got brothers, I got some sisters too, stuck in the middle. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get out of here, I'm gonna leave this place, so I can forget every single hungry face. When I get lonely and I need to be loved for who I am, not what they want to see. Brothers and sisters, they've always been there for me. We have a connection, home is where the heart should be. Keep it together in the family, that'll remind us of your history. Brothers and sisters, they hold the key to your heart and your soul. Don't forget that your family is gold. I hit the big time, but I still get the blues. Everyone's a stranger. City life can get to you. People can be so cold, never want to turn your back. Just giving to get something, always wanting something back. When I get lonely and I need to be loved for who I am, not what they want to see. Brothers and sisters, they've always been there for me. We have a connection, home is where the heart should be. Keep it together in the family. They remind us of your history. Brothers and sisters, they hold the key to your heart and your soul. Don't forget that your family is gold. When I look back on all the misery, at all the heartache that they brought to me, I wouldn't change it for another chance, 'cause blood is thicker than any other circumstance. Keep people together. Keep people together forever and ever. Keep people together. Keep people together forever and ever. Keep people together. Keep people together forever and ever. Keep people together. Keep people together forever and ever. When I get lonely and I need to be not for who I am, not what they want to see. Brothers and sisters, they've always been there for me. We have a connection, home is where the heart should be. Home is where the heart should be. Keep people together. Keep people together forever and ever. Keep people together. Keep people together forever and ever. Keep people together. Keep people together forever and ever. Keep people together. Keep people together forever and ever.